Bronte sisters were very influential in the Victorian era for being the few women to be published authors. However, Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre is one of the biggest novels still referenced today that shows how women can still find their own happiness in the strict Victorian era laws. Jane Eyre is written in the 1800s, in which the roles of women were very limited and they could not do much. They were limited to become dressmakers, teachers, governesses, and nurses. In many ways, Bronte and Jane shared many details of Bronte's life. Bronte had also fallen in love with a man who had a wife, but he did not reciprocate those emotions. She too wanted to be more than a governess, but was limited by society and the expectations. Therefore, she had Jane live out her dream of having love as well as having freedom to find happiness. Victorian law states, women are occasionally governors of prisons for women, overseers of the poor, and parish clerks. During her lifetime, Charlotte Bronte wanted to be more than just a teacher, but Victorian law restricted her to the few occupations that women were allowed to take. With this, Charlotte Bronte lived her dream of becoming more than just a teacher with this book. In Jane Eyre, Charlotte made it possible for a woman to find her happiness in the Victorian era. Very few women were allowed to own any type of fortune, but Jane is able to do the impossible and have a fortune and move up in social class, something very few women could do, especially with Jane's humble upbringing and treatment. When Jane tells Mr. Lloyd that she wants to go to school, it initiates the start of what seems to be her lifelong journey to find her true happiness, which later follows with her need to tell Mrs. Reed everything that is on her mind. And Jane states, I am not disciple. If I were, I would just say I loved you, but I declare I do not love you. I dislike you the worst of anybody in the world except John Reed. In this book about the liar, you may give your girl Georgiana, for it is she who tells lies, and not I. As a child, Jane did not stand up for herself, but for the first time she allowed herself to be rebellious against what was socially normal for a young girl with no wealth. Jane's characterization follows the theme, especially when Jane tells herself that she does not like Lowood and feels as though she wants to pursue something more exciting. Jane thought women are supposed to be very calm generally, but women feel just as men feel and they need exercise for their faculties, and it feels for their efforts as much as their brothers do. They suffer from too rigid a restraint, too absolute a stagnation, precisely as men would suffer, and it is narrow-minded in their more privileged fellow creatures to say that they ought to confine themselves to making puddings and knitting stockings and playing piano and embroidering bags. Jane realizes the restrictions in the Victorian era that apply to women and chooses to find something that makes her happy. She wanted to find more to life than to be a seamstress or a governess, something Charlotte Bronte also desired. The theme also develops when Jane is confronted by problems. For example, when Jane finds out Mr. Rochester has a wife, she chooses her own happiness instead of providing happiness. Once Jane leaves, she states, Gentle reader, may you never feel what I then felt. May your eyes never shed such stormy, scalding, heartbroken tears as poured from mine. May you never appeal to heaven in prayer so hopeless and so agonized as in that hour it left my lips. For never may you, like me, dread to be an instrument of evil to what you will love. No matter how many times Mr. Rochester tries to convince her, Jane's dignity and happiness is far more important to her than that of Mr. Rochester's. Even though she loved Mr. Rochester and it ached her, she finds her self-worth and self-esteem to be more important than the love of her life. In the end, Jane receives what she has always wanted. She inherits a huge fortune, finds her true family, marries the love of her life, and starts a family of her own. Living inside the strict Victorian laws, Jane successfully finds her own happiness on her own terms. Jane Eyre proves to be a strong woman who is determined to do things the correct way. My Edward and I, then, are happy, and the more so because those we love the most are happy likewise. Diana and Mary Rivers both married. Alternatively, once every year they come to see us and we go to see them. Both Captain Fitzjames and Mr. Wharton love their wives and are loved by them. Jane finds the love she so desperately wanted from her family and from Mr. Rochester, something she would have never thought she could have. In the beginning of the book, she explains how the way she is treated is because of the little money she had and her physical appearance, but proves those societal normalities mean nothing without determination and strength to find true happiness.